So as you shift applications off of running on locally managed servers that developers have access to, the business users of these applications still want the ability to modify their application functionality to meet their needs. They want to do this in a much different way. They want to go to a browser, access the application, and modify 3 or 4 different things. Extend the data model to add the fields that they want. Change the user interface so they can enter transaction data into those additional fields that they entered. Build their own custom reports so that they can get reports that meet the kind of questions they want to answer. And frankly, modify business processes by adding business rules to change how these business processes work based on business conditions. Now, in the past, you had to call in a developer to do that, which made it particularly challenging when you went to the cloud. And we at Oracle have re-architected our middleware and the Fusion applications and other applications that run on this middleware to change how you do this in a fundamental way. And Ted Farrell from development's here, and we're going to show you how you do this. Ted, welcome to OpenWorld.
Thanks, Thomas. So let's show off a little bit about what you were talking about. So most people looking at Fusion CRM screen, similar to what Steve Miranda showed you on Sunday night, people are very familiar with the interactive UIs and end users being able to customize the UI portion of the application. But we want to do a little bit more than that, and what we've done is enabled Fusion Middleware to help you do that. So if you look down at the lower right, we have a list of customers here. Fashion Forward wants to actually customize the customer and actually track different tiers of customers, gold, silver, and bronze. And we're going to show you how you do that, how a business user would do that using Fusion Composer.
The Fusion Composer is just a technology that's part of Fusion applications and part of our middleware that allows people to come in and extend the data model.
Exactly.
Okay?
So anyone building an application with Fusion Middleware similar to our CRM apps get this capability.
Okay.
So here we have a list of objects that we actually have in our system. We can create a new object if we want to. In this case, I'm actually going to extend the customer object that ships with Fusion CRM. So I can come in and see a list of all the attributes that ship out of the box with this, and I can go ahead and edit that if I want to. But instead, I'm actually going to come over and add a new attribute to my customer. So I'm going to actually track the tier of my customer. And I'm going to call the attribute customer tier. So we have different data types we'd actually choose. In this case, I'm just going to make a pick list so that it'll avoid confusion and bring this up. So this is all being done in metadata, which preserves the changes over updates from the base application.
So this is just a standard browser.
Standard
browser.
browser.
Logged in as an administrative user, you're able to tailor the data model, okay?
Exactly. So here we have our customer tier, gold, silver, and bronze. I'll go ahead and add that as the choose for the pick list, and go ahead and OK, and I'm done. So there's other levels you can do as well, but obviously you can see this is pretty simple to do. If you want to do more advanced stuff, we've extended it with groovy scripting languages. You can add business rules, all sorts of things. But let's go back to...
If you wanted to add a validation constraint of some kind, for example, you can add a scripting rule in Groovy or any other language you choose.
Exactly. So if we didn't have the user interface here, you can come in and add a business rule on our objects that we ship or your objects that you extend. So let's go back to the site, and what we'll see is that because we updated the business model, the UI picked up on that. So now we have the tiers that we can go ahead and actually set on the different customers if we want to. So next thing I want to show is maybe you want to take that same attribute and actually modify some of your business processes that you have. So let's go back into Composer. And this time, instead of Data Composer, we'll look at BPM Composer. This allows business users to come in and customize the business processes that we ship out of the box with Fusion CRM or their own custom business processes.
So here, for example, we added those tiers, gold, silver, bronze. You're going to change the approval process for gold so that they get faster processing.
Exactly. So what we want to do is come into the business process for a quote and bypass a lot of the overhead for our gold customers so they can bypass some of this. So this is the flow. And what we're going to do is just add a decision point early on in the flow. And what we'll do is instead of coming down into this node, we'll go ahead and wire it so that if any gold customer happens to come in, we'll bypass the normal process and expedite, thank you, Thomas, to to the end,
Okay.
right to an agent. So I'll go ahead and hit properties here. So we'll call this condition express gold. And then when I actually look at the conditions I have, again, we have a very declarative business-oriented expression builder. In my customer, I can see that I have the customer tier shows up in my business processes as well. I can include that in whatever expression I want. In this case, I'll just evaluate gold and be done. So change the business process to react to that. I can go ahead and actually redeploy that. The system picks up on it immediately. New versions of the business process we'll get those changes.
So all of this is just metadata, and you're basically modifying metadata in a sandbox environment. The minute you promote it, the system picks it up, and all new business processes will follow the new business process flow.
Exactly. As well as updates from Fusion CRM, all these changes that the customer do will all be preserved. There's no more manual merging.
Okay.
So last thing I want to show off here is the report. So people who are familiar with Web Center are familiar with Page Composer. It allows users to come in and customize pages, add content, normally things like portals or task flows, but you can also add custom reports to your pages as well, and really build your own dashboard and customize the types of things that you're doing. So we can browse our catalog, find a report that we want to add, and go ahead and add that to our page. So one of the nice things, too, is that we've done is added the capability of Reports Composer. And what Reports Composer allows you to do is basically allow a business user to customize reports. So rather than having to go and bring up the full Oracle Business Intelligence and customize the types of reports that you're using, we can come in and actually do that here. So I'll come in and edit the report, and it brings up a very simple wizard. So you can't do everything, but you can do 90% of what a business user is really looking to do.
And so it's simply a wizard-based approach, and you can pick the fact tables or the dimensions that you want and generate a new report and change its presentation and look and feel, et cetera, et cetera.
Exactly. I can change this to a bar chart. I can look, and if I want to sort and filter, including on the attributes that I added myself, my custom attributes, I can do all of that as well. So, really easy capabilities, really targeted at the business user. It's built into every version of Fusion Middleware, so whether it's us building Fusion applications or our customers building custom applications, this capability is built in for you.
So just as quick as that, we added a bunch of fields into the data model. The user interface on the transaction app gave you a drop-down list to enter data. We modified a business process flow to take into account this new attribute that we added, and you added a bunch of custom reports.
In 7 minutes.
Okay, great.
Thanks.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. So how does this work? Fundamentally, application configurability is done because we've taken the technology layer in our middleware and built it on a common metadata manager. And the reason metadata is important is we're not messing around with application code or logic directly from the browser, but we're modifying metadata. And these metadata, all of these metadata definitions are initially populated, for example, by developers when you're building an application, and then business users go into a browser-based interface and change the application's behavior. The very important thing is that we also know within our applications that we ship which metadata we shipped and what metadata you've added. And so when we do an upgrade, any customizations that you've built, for example, are preserved both across patches and across upgrades. A very, very important thing when you get into customizing enterprise applications. The same rules apply for business processes. And so business process change that traditionally was very, very complicated to do because you had to mess around with data models and application code, and that made it impossible for you, once you've done the customization, to ever upgrade the applications, are now both much more elegantly done, much more easily done, and also upgrade safe. Every one of the features we talked about can be used by you on your premise in building your own applications that run on the cloud, and also sit underneath our applications. And both the CRM on demand customers and the Fusion CRM customers will be able to use these capabilities to extend the capabilities of some of our applications.